Hi again, everybody, and welcome to Inside Golf. I'm Harry Donahue. Today, I'm warming up by the fire here at the 1908 room at North Hills Country Club. And I'm going to introduce you to a gentleman by the name of Bill Fazio, a native of Norristown, Pennsylvania, who got into golf as a caddy. And although it wasn't his only profession, he made it a full-time career. And he caddied for some of the best amateurs and professionals that golf has to offer. He was the caddy that was on the bag for Buddy Marucci in 1995 when Buddy went to the finals of the U.S. Amateur against a kid by the name of Tiger Woods at Newport Country Club. We're going to meet Bill Fazio and talk about his long and outstanding career on the bag for some of the best. Next on Inside Golf. Inside Golf is presented by Destination Montco Golf. 54 courses, 300,000 yards. Check them out at montcogolf.com. By the First Tee of Philadelphia. The First Tee helps young men and women become better golfers, but most important, better people. Get involved. Visit thefirstteephiladelphia.org. By the Golf Association of Philadelphia, GAP, celebrating amateur golf since 1897. By Jersey Man Magazine, it's a Jersey way of life. And by Philly Man Magazine, bringing it to Broad Street. By the Haverford Trust Company. Quality is in our DNA. And by Inside Golf's partner since 1998, the Philadelphia Section PGA. Experts in the game and business of golf. Take time to thank your local PGA golf professional.
When I got back from the Gulf War, I was afraid to leave my house for 5 years. Clearview Hope and Renee Powell saved my life.
When I started Clearview Hope, I wanted to do all that I could to help our nation's women military veterans.
Renee, with golf, you have empowered all of us, and we just cannot thank you enough.
The best stories end in thanks. Share your story at ThanksPGAPro.com.
Everyone knows the 5 senses.
But what if we told you?
There's more. An elusive sensation.
Coaxed out only under ideal circumstances.
We can't fully describe it, but you'll know it.
When you feel it.
We call it the ultimate driving machine.
Take advantage of exceptional lease and finance offers today.
Welcome back to Inside Golf, and we're here at North Hills Country Club. This is our mobile studio today for a sit-down with Bill Fazio. Hey, Bill.
Harry.
Great to see you again. Bill Fazio, first of all, let's get this straight. You're from Norristown, Pennsylvania, but you are no relation to George Fazio or Tom Fazio. You're a separate wing of the Fazio name, right?
Yes, that's right.
Okay. Let's talk about your first beginnings with the game of golf. How old were you when you first took up the game, maybe, or got interested in being a caddy?
Well, my father always had a putter in my hand in the backyard. You know, he put a little tomato soup can in a hole, and then we'd putt in that condition. But I remember him taking me to White Marsh to see the tournament with the pros, and we got down into the practice range, which is a real hot place to be on a hot July day or whatever. And I'll never forget, it was Dave Eichelberger, and he was hitting balls, and he was sweating and smoking and sweating. And I said to my dad, I said, he looks like he's pretty good, is he? And he said, nah, he said, he doesn't know where the ball's going. So we get up to the 10th tee, where they were starting on both the 10th and the 1st, and this big tall man gets up and hits a shot right at the trees on the right side of number 10 at White Marsh. And he brings it back into the fairway. And that ended up being Bill Heineman, and I was lucky enough to work with him in years to come.
You were lucky enough, Bill, to work with a lot of great players, both professionally, amateur, men and women.
Yes.
And probably, you mentioned Bill Heineman. What was your first memory of carrying a bag for the great Bill Heineman?
Well, first of all, he called me Billy. And you know, I'm a grown man at the time, and I really enjoyed the fact that he was calling me Billy. And he was quite a gentleman, great ball striker. Just, you know, he'd wear out the club faces in a triangle.
Really?
Yes.
It was right there in the center of the club all the time?
And one of my best memories was 1980. My wife was pregnant with our daughter Gabrielle, and it was Leo Frazier who had put together the very first senior stroke play tournament.
Down at the Atlantic City Country Club.
Atlantic City Country
yeah,
Club.
we're very familiar with the works of Leo Frazier.
Yeah, I think the purse was $100,000, and $20,000 went to Don January, the eventual winner. But I caddied for Bill Hyman in that tournament, and he played with Julius Boris and Gardner Dickinson.
Okay.
And on the second hole, Julius came up to me and said, "Do you mind taking my pins?" And I didn't know what he meant by it, so he helped.
Now he had his own caddy at the
Yeah,
time,
he had
right?
his own caddy,
Yeah.
and he helped me out by saying that you know, my caddy he has spikes on. I don't want him on the green. So do you mind doing it? I said, no problem.
Really?
But it worked out because I got a wonderful lesson on long putting. He was so devout on getting the ball to virtual tap-in range.
All the time.
I mean, speed control. He wanted it there because he knew he was going to miss his share of 3-footers. But if he'd get those 20-footers closer to the hole, he wasn't going to miss that.
Did he give you a little extra when the round was over?
No,
he didn't?
No, he didn't.
Oh, wow. How about that? So no spike marks, but no money either.
No money.
It's too bad. Somebody else that you caddy for a lot, former president of Pine Valley, Gordon Brewer. Tell us about Gordon Brewer and your relationship with him.
Gordon, he was the absolute grinder. He didn't have the attributes that other golfers had, but he worked hard at it, and he had such a knack for competition. You know, he felt that the competition that you have in golf is similar to what he had on his job, and he was chief financial officer of his company, so he had 2 careers, golf and finance.
And successful in both. What was the difference between, say, Billy Hyman and Gordon Brewer? I mean, from a golfing standpoint, your relationship, like, did one talk more to you than the other? Did one ask you more questions than the other, or was there really no difference?
Well, Gordon was a man of few words, but I'll never forget in a U.S. amateur qualifier that was taking place at Huntington Valley and Tarsdale. In the morning, he shot 76 or something like that at his home course, Huntington Valley. So he tees off on the 10th tee at Tarsdale, and he says to me as he's walking ahead towards the fairway, he says, "I'm not looking for his ball anymore." And he was referring to one of the amateurs in our threesome who had been hitting it at the trees at Huntington Valley all morning. Well, so I said to him, I said, "How many spots are there?" And he said 8. And then I said, "Well, do you think we would have that many spots if he wasn't in the field?" And he turns around with his club, and he's holding the face of his club, and he's pointing his grip at me. He said, "Touché." So he has, you know, him and his wife, they have a nice marriage. She's usually the comedian, and he's the.
I gotcha. Somebody, or another time that you caddied for Gordon, you were telling me, was in the U.S. Amateur at Marion. That was back in the 80s.
Oh, yeah.
Chris Patton eventually won it. I know Jay Siegel went deep into the tournament. So did another Huntington Valley member, Dave Brookerson, at the time. But it was a little on edge for Bruin to qualify, right, for match play, because they had medal play, and then whatever it was, the low 32 got into match play. And what happened to get him there?
Oh, that year it was Waynesboro and Marion. Well,
for medal play and qualifying for match.
Yes, yes. And so he had a high number, I think it was 76, 77 at Waynesboro.
Uh-oh, that's not good.
So we go to play Marion. He birdies the first 3 holes in a row, and he says to me, he said, let's birdie them all fast. So
How'd he finish?
I think he shot 68, 69.
And got into match play.
He got into match play. I remember Jay Siegel coming up to him and telling him how much of an accomplishment that was to do that. And he played David Eager in his match. And Dave, well, actually, Gordon never trailed in the match until he lost the 18th hole.
That's a tough way to go out, huh?
It really is.
How about that? David Eager was a great amateur player. Played a little professionally, too, I think, originally. And then
had some luck on the senior tour.
Right. How about that? What makes for a good caddy, Bill?
Well, you have to show up, shut up, and keep up.
Besides that, though?
Well, I think you have to understand, and this is something my father installed in me, and that is, it's a service industry. You have to work. I mean, if you have to clean somebody else's bunker, you have to do it because you know, you have to keep play moving, and that's part of our job. And as far as I'm concerned, no one should ever be assessed with slow play if they have a caddy. Right.
Or if you're tending pins for Julius Boros because he didn't want any spike marks on the green at Atlantic City, right? It's a service industry.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. And sometimes you're going to make out, and sometimes you're not. So.
How about from the standpoint, though, of adding encouragement? Like if you sense your player is not there mentally, or is feeling a little frustrated because the way the round is going. Did you ever feel compelled to add a little, come on, you can do it type of thing, a little cheerleader on the side, or did you stay away from
Some guys say that I should have pom-poms, all the cheering that I do.
Really?
Yeah, no matter who the player is.
Do you remember any particular instances where you really, had a little head-to-head with your player to say, come on, we can do better than that. You can hit a better shot than that.
Yeah, I don't know about that, but I know that if you're running out of holes, you need to keep your player there, knowing that he has to do what he has to do. And going back to that Gordon Brewer example, he finished the front 9, which would have been his last 3 holes, in 3, 4, 3, which is 1 under.
Right. And
that got him into a playoff, and it knocked another member from Huntington Valley, Mike Greger, out of the tournament.
How about that?
Yeah.
Pretty competitive guy, that Gordon Brewer.
Oh, yes, he is.
We will be back. More on the life and the caddy works of this gentleman right here, Bill Fazio, including a story about Helen Siegel Wilson, one of the great female amateur golfers in the Philadelphia area, Dorothy Porter, and Buddy Marucci, and the match, the original match, Buddy against 19-year-old Tiger Woods. This guy was right in the middle of that. Newport Country Club, USM Championship round in 1995. More on Inside Golf with Bill Fazio in just a moment.
The first National Amateur Championship was played.
Welcome back to Inside Golf. We continue our conversation with the legendary caddy, Bill Fazio from Norristown, Pennsylvania. Bill, before the break, I teased a little bit about your working with a couple of the great female amateurs of all time in Philadelphia history, Dorothy Porter, Helen Siegel Wilson. Tell us about those 2 ladies.
Well, Dorothy, she was a great player. She had a good USGA record also, and she had a great record here in the Philadelphia area. And of course, when you're caddying those women's matches, you're caddying not only for the home team player, but you're also caddying for the away team player.
Right.
And she was a nice woman to work for.
And how about Helen Siegel Wilson? You have a little story to tell about a little gamesmanship between you two when it came to the number of clubs that were in her bag.
Well, same thing. When she would come to Huntington Valley to play in a team match, and she'd play her old longtime friend, Charlotte Nestle. And she'd come twirling up to the tee, and she'd say, Bill, how many clubs in my bag? And of course I'd say 13 and 1 in your hand.
And she would say?
She'd say, Billy, I can't get anything by you.
All right, let's talk about the match now. Buddy Marucci, Tiger Woods, U.S. Amateur Final, Newport Country Club. It was the 100th anniversary of that U.S. Amateur tournament, and it was played at the Newport Country Club. And you caddied for Buddy Marucci against Tiger Woods, and Buddy took him to the final hole, the 36th hole, before Tiger would win his second of what would eventually be 3 amateur championships. Tell us about that experience.
Well, first of all, I kind of backed into that because Gordon Brewer had won the senior amateur and he was exempt from having to qualify. So I was available for the qualifying match and I caddied for Buddy. And
where was that qualifying at?
That was at Sunnybrook and White Marsh.
Okay.
And he, once again, he's in a playoff and he knocked out another time when he knocked out one of the members from Huntington Valley, one of the Gregors.
Okay. So when you showed up at Newport, Buddy liked it right away because the setup of the golf course, sort of like firm course, he loved.
Yes.
Right. That was his strength.
No sprinkler system at the time.
So it was a little brown.
Yeah, it was a little brown, yeah.
And it was August. It was late August, right?
But he's all about spin, and he likes a course set up when it's hard and fast.
Okay. And he gets into that Sunday finale, and I know he gave you a break because you actually went to church that morning.
I did.
And they're going to tee you off at what time?
8:30, somewhere in there.
So you go to Mass, and you're not on the range. His buddy's hitting balls. Was he looking at his watch, waiting for you, or what happened there?
No, he knew it meant too much for me not to be there. But yeah, I made it.
Did you say an extra prayer for Buddy that day, or what?
It didn't do any good if I did.
No, he didn't do bad.
No.
Because at one time he was, 3 up on the match on the first 18, right?
I believe so.
Yeah.
I believe so. I know we were 1 up at the break.
1 up on the break. Buddy goes and has a shower and lunch. And Tiger, they say, went into the clubhouse at Newport, sat by himself for an hour meditating. Now, what were you thinking about Tiger Woods? I know you had heard of him because he had won the previous year, the U.S. Amateur. He had won 3 U.S. Junior Amateurs. It wasn't like you were going up against an unknown. Was the confidence level pretty high for Buddy, or did he just almost think, hey, I'm just glad to be here?
Well, you know, I said to him the night before at dinner, I said, of all the players that you could have drawn to play this match, you got the one that, you know, everybody wants. And he says, well, I don't know about that. I would have rather had someone else. But anyway, you know, when I went up to Tiger the morning before the match, I didn't have much time, so he was standing there meditating when I went up to him. I hated to bother him, but he gets that influence from his mother, I believe. And another gentleman by the name of Jay Brunza, who was his sports psychologist and who caddied for him in that tournament.
So he had Jay on his bag. Buddy has you on his back. Was there much give and take between you and Buddy as the match rolled on?
Yeah, there was. I remember, I think it was the 15th hole. We had a lot to say because it was rock hard, and Tiger was already in there tight, and I thought the only way you could get the ball to stop is you hit it well short, and even then it still took off.
Okay, and it comes down to Tiger 1 up, going to the 18th hole, which is an uphill hole.
Well, the green sits up.
Yeah, the green sits up.
The tee was actually an elevated tee.
Tiger hits iron off the tee on 18, right?
I believe it was a 3-iron. Some say it was a 2. You know.
Was Tiger out hitting Buddy substantially off the tee during those 36 holes?
You know, Tiger couldn't go at it full bore, I don't think, because, you know, there's a lot of trouble also in that rough. And I remember him hitting out of high grass on a par 5 on the front 9, and he went up to Buddy afterwards because Buddy hit another shot from the fairway, and he wanted, you know, you could tell that he's such a student of the game. He wanted to know how he did this, how I had to do that, because earlier that summer, if you remember, he withdrew from the U.S. Open at Shinnecock, and he was in grass just like that, and he hit it and hurt his wrist.
Right? Yeah. So on 18, Buddy hits his second shot about 20 feet or so from the pin. And of course, he likes to make birdie, and if Tiger only makes 4, they go to an extra hole. Tiger has 140 yards with an 8-iron in his hand and hits it stiff. And Johnny Miller even predicted that, right? How'd that shot look from your vantage point?
It looked like it was all over it, yeah. And, you know, you still have a chance, though. You never know in golf, but Buddy, you know, Buddy went up to him, you know, before we got to the green, because he knew that he probably wouldn't get a chance after that. And it's exactly what happened. They stormed the green just like they would storm a basketball.
Right. Yeah, I think Buddy's comment to Tiger as they were approaching 18 there, knowing that Tiger was 18 inches, was something like, you know, someday you're going to hit a shot like that to win the U.S. Open. I don't know if that was prophetic or not, but it was certainly timely. And a guy by the name of Butch Harmon, who was in the crowd, his brother was the pro at Newport, reached out to you, right?
Yeah, well, see, I had missed warming up in the morning, and Butch was there with Tiger, and so I didn't get to meet him. I didn't see any balls hit at all because I went to church, and here this hand comes out at me, and he told me I did a good job, and it meant a lot.
Right. Is that probably the best 36 holes of golf you've ever caddied for anybody as a player?
Yeah. I tell people it was the most fun I ever had with my clothes on. Are you kidding?
There you go. Not exactly the way most people would describe it, but hey, Bill Fazio telling it like it is. We'll be back to wrap it up with Bill. Inside Golf continues.
Everyone is looking for something. Consistency, quality, peace of mind. Found. The Haverford Trust Company.
Welcome back to Inside Golf. We'll continue our conversation now with Bill Fazio with Jack Conley. Jack Conley is the ambassador to golf here at North Hills Country Club. Good to see you again, pro.
Same here, Harry.
And this is sort of a reunion between yourself and Bill Fazio, right?
Yeah, I haven't seen Faz for a number of years, so it's always good to see him. He was one of the good guys for me anyways.
He was on your bag a few times?
More than a few. He helped me win a lot of tournaments.
Really?
He kept me calm, and he read putts a lot better than I did, and when I trusted him, they would go in.
Well, you know, I asked Bill what makes for a good caddy, and he used the old, you know, you got to show up, you got to shut up, and you got to keep up. Was he pretty good at that?
He was the best. I mean, he didn't always shut up, because when I wanted to do something, he said, "Do you really have the talent to do that?" And when I thought about what he was saying, he was right. So we just played it safe, middle of the green. If you hit 18 greens, he said you can't go real bad. He probably knew my game better than I did.
Really?
Yeah, and you know, the thing that I still say today is when I'd hit it close, maybe 4 or 5 feet, I'd look at Faz and say, "What do you think?" He said, "I'll let you know after the next one." So, I mean, unless I made that 4 or 5 footer, it was meaningless to Faz.
That's what I always say, golf is the game of the next one, right?
Absolutely,
absolutely. And Bill was on top of that.
Yeah.
Bill, you have any fond memories of Jack Conley?
Oh, gosh, yeah. We had a lot of fun. And Jack
we were a team.
He was the consummate pro, too. You know, like I said, I considered it, when he lost here to Jim Masario, a major defeat. You know, even more than the Tiger defeat.
Really?
Yeah.
So that was worse than Buddy losing to Tiger.
Well,
was
you know,
Jack?
Jack never won the section championship, and he was there all the time, but he never got past it. And one year at Huntington Valley, I was supposed to caddy for him. Our paths got crossed, and I ended up with Dick Smith, and he won the tournament.
Oh no!
That's when he dropped me, and I didn't blame him.
That's not what happened. But anyway, Jack actually got me Dick's bag after finding out that I couldn't go with him.
I got you. You know, he's had a lot of opportunities to caddy for a lot of guys that you know very well, including Bill Hyman and Gordon Brewer and Jack Conley. That's like a real triumvirate at Huntington Valley, huh?
Yeah, that's probably with Bill and Gordon about as good as they got. He took me when they didn't need his services, but
right. You were like the leftover. Okay, I'll
yeah,
take
but you know,
Conley.
he helped me during my career over there as well because he was my caddy master and he helped me an awful lot. So I owe Faz an awful lot today.
Yeah, he's gone well beyond where you ever thought he would go, right? People may not know who that guy was on the bag, but now you do. It was our good friend Bill Fazio.
Thanks.
Bill, thanks for joining us. Jack, always a pleasure to see
Harry.
you.
Always good to see you as well.
That's it for this week's edition of Inside Golf. Glad you could join us and find out a little bit about what it's like to be a top-notch caddy from one himself, Bill Fazio. I'm Harry Donahue. Remember, no matter how bad it's going for you out there, don't pick up and say thanks to every caddy you've ever had. See you next week on Inside Golf.
Inside Golf is presented by Destination Montco Golf. 54 courses, 300,000 yards. Check them out at montcogolf.com. By the First Tee of Philadelphia. The First Tee helps young men and women become better golfers, but most important, better people. Get involved. Visit thefirsttphiladelphia.org. By the Golf Association of Philadelphia, GAP, celebrating amateur golf since 1897. By Jersey Man Magazine, it's a Jersey way of life. And by Philly Man Magazine, bringing it to Broad Street. By the Haverford Trust Company. Quality is in our DNA. And by Inside Golf's partner since 1998, the Philadelphia Section PGA. Experts in the game and business of golf. Take time to thank your local PGA golf professional.